So we saw that when two operators commute, they share the same set of eigenfunctions, which means that O psi equal to lambda psi and Q psi equal to lambda prime psi. These are the two relations that we get. So which means that measurement of operator O on psi gives the value lambda, and measurement of Q on psi gives the value lambda prime. So these two observables are compatible and simultaneously measurable. If you operate Q and O simultaneously on psi, you don't have any problem. You will get the results lambda and lambda prime. So when two operators are compatible, then they are also simultaneously measurable. Okay. Again, operators that share the same set of eigenfunctions commute. So this is the other way around. If they commute, then they have the same set of eigenfunctions. On the other hand, if they have the same set of eigenfunctions, then they will commute. How to prove? Suppose we have two eigenvalue equations, O psi equal to lambda psi and Q psi equal to lambda prime psi. So psi is the simultaneous eigenfunction of Q and O with eigenvalues lambda and lambda prime. Now Q O psi equal to Q lambda psi equal to lambda Q psi, but Q psi is lambda prime psi, so this is lambda lambda prime psi. So what are we getting? Again, OQ psi is equal to O lambda prime psi equal to lambda prime O psi equal to lambda prime lambda psi. So, if you write the expressions of OQ psi minus QO psi, you get lambda prime lambda minus lambda lambda prime psi. But lambda and lambda prime are simple algebraic expressions, right? So these are commutative, the order of multiplication doesn't matter for them. So lambda prime lambda is equal to lambda lambda prime. So this is 0, which means that, okay, so this is OQ psi and this is QO psi. So which means that commutator OQ equal to 0. So observable operators having simultaneous eigenfunctions commute with each other. Again, we get the same result. Measurement of O on psi gives result lambda. Measurement of Q on psi gives the result lambda prime. So once again, the two observables are compatible and simultaneously measurable. So these two properties give us the same result, that when two observables commute with each other, they are compatible and therefore they are simultaneously measurable. So now we can move to the discussion of simultaneous measurements and compatible and incompatible observables. When two operators have a common eigenfunction, they are called compatible operators and they can be measured simultaneously. When they don't commute, they don't possess a common eigenfunction and then they are called incompatible operators. That is, they cannot be measured simultaneously. So if I give you examples, this will become totally clear to you. Suppose we have position x and corresponding component of linear momentum px. You measure x, the position, and you get an outcome. You measure px and you get another outcome. Okay. Now you measure x again, then the result that you get will not match with your first result. Why? Because when you get x, the particle goes to the eigenstate of x, which is a delta function, all of you know. Measuring the position of a particle means it will give you one particular point in space. So it is a delta function. It is 0 everywhere else and gives you a result only at that point. So it is a delta function. But measuring the momentum of the particle, then the particle goes to the eigenstate of px, but eigenstate of px is a sine wave which has infinite spread. So eigenstate of x is a delta function, whereas eigenstate of px is a sine wave of infinite spread. So when you again measure x, the in-between measurement of the momentum deletes the memory of the first result altogether, and you do not get back the result. So the particle is displaced from that position and you get some other result. So position and corresponding linear momentum are incompatible operators. They do not commute with each other. So it is not possible to measure both simultaneously with perfect accuracy. And this is exactly from where Heisenberg's uncertainty principle is coming. Position and momentum are incompatible observables. They have, just a second, connect. নেই, ওটা হচ্ছে না। এটা আমি ইয়ে করে দিচ্ছি। আমরা ওই So it is not possible to measure both with perfect accuracy. Okay, position and momentum. Have you understood this? Or do you want me to explain this once more? Do you want me to go through this once more?
Yes, ma'am. Repeat once more.
Okay. So we saw that when two operators are commuting with each other, then they have simultaneous eigenfunctions. They have the same eigenfunction. Now, how is this related with simultaneous measurement? Whether we can measure two observables simultaneously or not. So we directly take an example of position and momentum. If you measure the position of a particle, what happens? The particle goes to the eigenstate of position, which is a delta function. Now next you measure momentum, and the particle will go to the eigenstate of momentum, which is different from that of position. Eigenstate of momentum is a sine wave. So when you again measure position, then you don't get the first result, because in between the momentum measurement has deleted the memory of the first result, which means that position and linear momentum are incompatible operators. You cannot measure both simultaneously with perfect accuracy because they are non-commuting and they have different eigenfunctions. They do not share the same eigenfunctions. Now is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now we'll take another example, momentum and kinetic energy. Linear momentum px and kinetic energy px square by 2m. You measure px, you get an outcome. You measure kinetic energy, you get an outcome. You measure px again, you get the same result as the first measurement. Why? Because measurement of k does not put the particle into another state or another function. Measurement of one observable will not have any effect on the subsequent measurements of the other, because they possess the simultaneous eigenfunctions. They share the eigenfunctions. So linear momentum and corresponding kinetic energy are compatible operators. So if you have two operators which share the same eigenfunction, then you can measure them simultaneously with total accuracy, no problem, and they are called compatible operators. Possible to measure both simultaneously with perfect accuracy. So what happens in the case of non-compatible observables? The uncertainty principle. This is from where we get the concept of the uncertainty principle. Okay. So this is the generalized proof of the uncertainty principle. Now, if I go through each and every step, then okay. So suppose this proof is there in your syllabus. Okay, the general we all know the special case of uncertainty principle statement where delta x delta px is greater than equal to h cut. We all know that statement, but that is only for position and momentum operators. But you just saw that this is a general case. There may be pairs of operators which are compatible, and there may be pairs or operators which are non-compatible. When pairs or operators are compatible, then we have no issues. The commutator is equal to 0 and they can be measured simultaneously. But when pairs of operators are non-compatible, then we have to take resort to the uncertainty principle. And this is true for any two operators which are non-compatible. So we have to know a general statement of the uncertainty principle. And this is the proof. So standard deviation in the measurement of an observable A is given by this. Okay. And we write this as F star F, okay, where F is equal to A minus expectation value of A. And standard deviation of another observable B is given by this, and that we write as G star G, where G is B minus expectation value of B, obviously operating on psi. So delta A square, delta B square, we can write as F star F multiplied by G star G, and this must be greater than equal to mod of Fg square. Okay, we know this from Schwarz inequality. I wrote the statement of Schwarz inequality in a few slides back. Okay, so this we can write. Now for any complex number, we know that mod z squared is equal to real part of z square plus imaginary part of z square. So it has to be greater than just imaginary part of z square. Okay. Now what is imaginary part of z square? It is given by 1 by 2i z minus z star whole square. Okay. So mod z square must always be greater than 1 by 2i z minus z star whole square. Now if we write z equal to fg, f star g, this, then z star equal to g star f. So delta A square, delta B square can be written to be greater than equal to 1 by 2i fg minus gf whole square from this relation over here. Okay. Putting back the values of f and g, remember these were the substitutions we made for a minus expectation value of a and b minus expectation value of b. So if you put back the values of f and g in this statement over here, okay, you get this. You write down, you open the bracket and you write down the extended form. These are steps that you need to follow, and I mean I can just read out, but that won't you have to do this by hand to understand this. You just follow these whatever I have done and try to practice by hand on a copy, and then you'll get to understand. I'm just trying to simplify the expression of f star g in terms of a and b. Okay, so this is what we get. F star g is a b expectation value. This is b expectation value into a expectation value. This is a expectation value into b expectation value. And this is a expectation value into b expectation value, because psi star psi is 1, as psi is a normalized function. Now, so you are left with a b expectation value minus b expectation value into a expectation value, because this and this of course cancels out. Similarly, g star f will be ba expectation value minus a expectation value into b expectation value, which means that f star g minus g star f is equal to AB expectation value minus BA expectation value. In other words, it is equal to AB commutator expectation value of that. Expectation value of AB commutator. So this is the general expression of the uncertainty principle for any two non-commuting operators A and B. Any two non-commuting operators A and B follow this expression or this relation of uncertainty principle. This is called the generalized statement of the uncertainty principle. Okay, now let us see whether this is something that we know already. We already know the expression of uncertainty principle. We now have a different expression which we are claiming to be general. So if we put known values of A and B, we must get back the known expression. So let us put position linear momentum relation. First observable is x position coordinate. Second observable is x component of linear momentum. So commutator xpx is x minus I h cut del del x, the operator form of linear momentum. So we have x into minus I h cut del del x minus I h cut del del x into x on psi. So I h cut goes outside. Inside we have x del psi del x minus psi minus x del psi del x. Okay. So we are left with I h cut. So in the general statement which says delta x squared delta px squared greater than equal to 1 by 2i h cut squared, we have delta x delta px greater than equal to h cut by 2. Okay, so this is the general expression of uncertainty principle. You know that. This is the Heisenberg's uncertainty principle that we all know of. Okay, all of you know this. Energy time relation, total energy operator, this H acting on psi gives you IH cut del del T on psi. So if you put it in the commutation relation between H and T, then again putting these expressions, you get HT equal to IH cut. So in general, the general statement becomes delta E delta T greater than equal to H cut by 2. Okay. So the uncertainty principle tells us the relative minimum size of the uncertainties in the values of two non-commuting quantities if we try to measure them simultaneously. So using the uncertainty principle, we get to know that what is the minimum size of the uncertainties when we try to measure them simultaneously. So if you try to measure position and momentum simultaneously, then there has to be some error. You cannot get both with perfect accuracy, and the degree of the error is given by this relation. Similarly for energy and time. Okay, so you cannot go beyond this. Delta E delta T greater than equal to H cut by 2. And these are known relations that you already know. Okay. So just the final discussion is on angular momentum. We know that the classical definition of angular momentum is L equal to R cross P. And in operator notation, P is IH cut minus IH cut del operator, you know, in 3 dimensions. So L is R cross minus IH cut del operator. So minus IH cut R cross del. So in Cartesian coordinate system, R is this and the del operator is written like this. So we get the expression of the angular momentum as the value or result of this determinant. Okay, so this is what we get. So we get the 3 components Lx, Ly and Lz, and also L square as Lx square plus Ly square plus Lz square. The commutator relations of the angular momentum and its operator are like this: Lx, Ly. Okay, so these are pairs of non-commuting operators, which means this is equal to 0, this is equal to 0. So Lx, Ly is equal to this. In other words, commutator of Lx, Ly is IH cut Lz. Okay. So Lx, Ly commutator is IH cut Lz. Ly, Lz commutator is IH cut Lx. And Lz, Lx commutator is IH cut Ly. And Therefore, Lx, Ly and Lz are between themselves, they are incompatible. They do not commute with each other. So you cannot measure two components of angular momentum simultaneously. They do not possess simultaneous eigenfunctions. So it is not possible to measure the three components of the angular momentum at the same time. This is a very, very important result. However, L square Lx, if you put, then I have given you the working out. You can go through it. Okay, each and every step is given. So you see, you will find finally that L square Lx commutator is 0. Similarly, L square Ly, L square Lz commutator is 0. So L square is compatible with each component of L, which means simultaneous eigenfunctions exist. So L square and the respective components of the angular momentum operator can be measured at the same time. So although you cannot measure the individual components of angular momentum simultaneously, but you can measure each component with L square at the same time. Okay. And finally, a discussion on completeness of measurements and problem arising with degeneracy. When the Schrodinger equation has more than one linearly independent solutions of the same value of eigenvalue, we know that the eigenvalue is said to be degenerate. We just discussed degeneracy in our last class where we did the problem of one-dimensional box bound state. Okay. Now, if k eigenstates correspond to the same eigenvalue, then the eigenvalue is called k-fold degenerate. And a linear combination of the above set of degenerate eigenstates will also be an eigenstate of the operator. Again, if two operators commute, then every eigenvector is also an eigenvector of the other with the same eigenvalue. So if an eigenvalue is degenerate, it can be said that it belongs to the complete set of eigenvectors of the operators. So for degenerate eigenvalues, the outcome of a given measurement is not unique. So they have to be simultaneously, if they are to be simultaneously measurable observables, the measurement may not be complete because you never know which one you are measuring, since there are several eigenfunctions corresponding to the same eigenvalue. So in that case, the measurement may not be complete. Okay, so that more or less covers the quantum mechanics syllabus. Now I will send this PPT notes and I will also send the Word document. So your task will be, I have not given any questions from this part for your tomorrow's test. So after tomorrow's internals, your job will be to go through this last portion, because I have introduced some very new concepts and they are also a bit abstract concepts. You do not have any direct mathematical methods to understand them. So you really have to read through and try to understand. And if you have any questions regarding them, then you can always get back to me, as I always tell you. But your job will be to please go through them and try to see whether I have really been able to explain the things to you. Okay.